Cyclone Gezani on a collision course with Madagascar. So this storm quite small but becoming very powerful as it draws nearer to the coast of eastern Madagascar. In particular, we are concerned about the city of Toamasina, which looks like it's going to get a direct hit by this very powerful storm right now. Currently, estimated winds of 125 miles per hour, which is nearly 200 kilometers per hour, sustained with higher gusts, and a central pressure estimate of 955 millibars, moving nearly due west at 10 miles per hour or 16 kilometers per hour. As of 4 p.m. Eastern African time, this storm is getting very close to landfall, and we expect it will happen in 2 or 3 hours. Here it is right now, displayed on the map, with its wind field extending out up to 150 nautical miles on the two southern quadrants, 18.2 south, 49.9 degrees east at this time. Well, it is 59 kilometers from Toamasina. We usually display towns of any size for the top one there, the closest place, but it happens to be the largest city in the area, Toamasina. 72 from Mahivalona, 115 from Brickaville, 267 from the capital Antananarivo, and 471 from Mahajanga on the northwestern coast. Warnings out in effect right now. We're expecting heavy rainfall, especially close to the landfall area, which could cause significant flooding, up to 12 inches of rain, 300 millimeters. Well, it is poised to make landfall very close to the city of Toamasina. The exact location yet still unknown, of course. Widespread heavy damage is now expected despite the storm's relatively small size, particularly with those stronger wind fields. Winds of over 200 kilometers per hour are likely in some areas near the landfall zone, most likely on its southern side. Storm force winds will extend far inland and may even reach the capital, Antananarivo, as they disperse when the storm moves inland. So here's the projection then in terms of the track, very close to the capital, passing just north there, moving into the later part of the week, the Mozambique Channel. The storm stays relatively small but still quite powerful again when it reaches the coast of Mozambique, likely to be hurricane force, and then the later track of the storm becomes a little bit more murky. It looks like the storm may stall a little bit in the Mozambique Channel, but it might recurve and move off towards the southeast. So currently winds of 125 miles per hour according to our latest estimates. JTWC's earlier update had 115. Meteo France still around there as well. ADT estimates pushing it up to around 120 right now. We think it's a little bit higher based on satellite appearance, which is looking very good indeed in those latest frames, and I'm not sure that they're capturing the storm's full intensity given how small it is. That's the last Meteo France forecast there, calling for the storm to strengthen all the way up until landfall, and then moving inland, of course, weakening substantially down to tropical storm status, and then strengthening, ramping up again when it reaches the coast of Mozambique. JTWC having a pretty similar outlook, dropping it to a tropical depression as a matter of fact before it leaves the western coast of Madagascar. This island can do big things to storms' intensities, ramping them down. Usually storms lose 2 categories at least when they pass over Madagascar, and quite high terrain in the area as well, the storm we're passing over. So you can see there on the GFS forecast run there that the storm holds its relatively small appearance, gets a little bit larger later on in its life, and then looks like it might start to drift slowly southwards, lose tropical characteristics slowly but surely, and becoming quite larger when it does that. But after Madagascar, it's looking to be the southeastern part of Mozambique that's going to be the area next to receive significant cyclonic impacts. How much at this point is still very unknown. We don't know how strong the storm will be, and we don't know just how far west the storm will track. That latest GFS forecast there just has the storm grazing the coast before being diverted off towards the southeast. Still having some significant rainfall in terms of that later part of the track as well, but certainly in the interim, in the initial period there, on the southern side of the storm's central core, we'll be looking at very high amounts of rainfall, torrential rain at times. This storm isn't moving particularly slowly, so it is going to be one with high rain rate. when the storm moves in shortly. So here are the total estimated rainfall projections. We're expecting 1 or 2 areas near Toamasina towards its southwest to possibly receive 13 or 14 inches of rainfall. That's over 300 millimeters in total. We're also expecting parts of Mozambique to receive up to 200 millimeters of rainfall as well. Could get some locally high amounts. Looking at the storm further out to sea, very high amounts of rain where it will be stalling later on in that period. Over the rest of Madagascar, we could be looking at 6 inches, 150 millimeters for a few other locations towards the northwest and for parts of the northern part of the Mozambique coast as well. Sea surface temperatures looking good for the storm's duration, at least until it passes its Mozambique closest approach. We're looking at least 27 degrees Celsius waters, heading up towards 30 degrees Celsius in parts of the Mozambique Channel. So the storm will have ample opportunity for re-intensification once it moves back over water. Here's the latest satellite imagery of the storm, and this is the last few hours, and you can see how the storm is looking very good indeed. A mature appearance with, of course, a decent looking eye, which has continued to deepen out over the course of today. Cloud tops around the eye wall have been routinely reaching the -70s, almost a full red ring sustained at this point, which usually denotes a very strong category 3 or 4. Depending on the eye temperature. And here is some latest imagery from the INSAT satellite as well, showing that the storm has been looking pretty good as we start to slowly lose light over the area. Movement overall in the last 6 to 12 hours has been just slightly south of west. Given that Toamasina is pretty much due west at this point, any small deviation southward could be significant because the northern side is likely to be the weakest. And the smallest as well, so Toamasina might get away without the strongest part of the eye wall, but they will still be receiving some very strong winds which could cause some significant destruction. This is a major cyclone, category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, high end at that as well, despite it being on the small side. But it's going to be the southern side that's going to be producing the strongest winds, and we could be looking at category 4 gusts there as well. As we look at the Force 13 website satellite imagery, which you can check out as well, force13.com/satellite. The eye has really started to get a little bit more of a well-rounded shape in those last few hours as well. Certainly compared to that earlier imagery, this is like 12-hour loop now, I believe. Showing that the eye temperature is getting into the positives, with those cloud tops starting to average out a little bit better as well after some bigger flurries earlier on. Of course, it is running out of time. Land interaction already starting to be felt on that western side there, where those cloud tops aren't quite pushing as far inland, but still a little bit of time for possible further intensification, but pretty much out of time at this point. It looks like it's going to be a high-end category 3 landfall, which is what the JTWC predicted last night. Also a shout out to Meteo France, who predicted this storm's intensification very well once it was at the tropical storm stage earlier on, forecasting this to become an intense tropical cyclone, which it has done. In the Western Hemisphere, the tropics are quiet. It's all out in the east right now, and mostly in the Indian Ocean. Gezani a category 3. 2 areas of interest in the Indian Ocean. What's left of Mitchell over southwestern Australia, not far from Perth, and 94P in the South Pacific could also develop off Australia's east coast.